not want to eat bad food from China. So let's be tougher on China going forward. I don't think anybody seriously believes I'm going to be influenced by a lobbyist or a particular interest group. Now, the idea that somehow a contribution is going to influence you, I just ask you to look at my record.
To the best of my knowledge, no one has said anything to me about any espionage which occurred by the Chinese against the labs during my presidency.
On February the 4th, I and the ranking Democrat on the Select Committee, Representative Norm Dix of Washington, wrote to the President and asked for a private meeting to brief the President on our findings and our recommendations. That meeting was put off until the 22nd of April, but at that time when we met with the President for, if I recall correctly, about 90 minutes, we had a very thorough discussion of not only historical but ongoing problems at the national laboratories and with PRC espionage. So at least from that point, there is no question that the administration and our Select Committee were all on the same page.
Unlike President Clinton, some of us on the other side of the aisle are prepared to accept some accountability. We know the spying took place as far back as the 80s, maybe even back into the late 70s. But the issue here is not when it started. It's what we did about it when we found out. And that's my concern.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is.
Yeah.
If is means is and never has been, that is not that's one thing. If it means there is none, that was a completely true statement.
We need to find out how far up it goes. I mean, I don't want any more of these explanations. It depends on what is. This is the national security of the United States, and we're not going to accept this gobbledygook and double talk.
The Chinese have obtained damaging information.
They know I always visit the White House with my Chinese business friend. And I talk to the DNC, I talk to the people in the White House. More access I can get, more business I can make, more money I can donate to the DNC.
The PRC tried to influence our policy and politics by covert campaign contribution.
I am convinced there has been Chinese nuclear espionage at our laboratories.
I can assure you, we have never stolen any so-called high-tech from the United States.
China has been conducting a very aggressive espionage of our most vital secrets.
If all that were proven true, I think that would be a very serious offense. That is not going to be proven true.
I think soon it will be clear to the American people that this is potentially the greatest failure of American intelligence in our history. It is an extraordinary lapse of judgment in the highest levels of law enforcement with consequences for a full generation.
I believe that this espionage case of the Chinese is the worst in the history of this country. They got just about everything that we have, and you'll see it in the out years in their development of their weapons.
My fellow Americans, I stand before you tonight to report that the state of our union is strong.
I think the potential is on a magnitude equal to the Rosenberg-Fuchs compromise of the Manhattan Project information. So I conclude in my personal view that the potential damage is very significant.
With all respect, I reject, if you don't appreciate the way that I present it, I can understand, I mean, I'll accept that, but I want to make it very clear that I would restate those And I would be glad, I won't take the chance at this time, I will on the floor of the United States Senate, to take as much time as necessary. And it may take some time.
The espionage of China is deep, it's very widespread. It's probably going on as we sit here this morning here in Washington.
I think the failures of judgment by the Attorney General of the United States are inexplicable. I do not know how she could explain the failures to provide this wiretap, despite overwhelming evidence that there was probable cause and that the national security was being compromised.
But there was never a quid pro quo between our government and China.
We unfortunately live in a system where the ambassadorship can be bought and stay at the White House can cost as little as $50,000, or access to our president or a presidential candidate can be had if you are famous in Hollywood.
But again, I want to say to the Chinese people and to the leaders of China, I apologize, I regret this.
I don't receive personal, but my attorney's office received the package. It said how you can take a theft in the United States Congress.
And I think Democrats are to blame to a degree because they tried to soften the blows so as not to hurt or damage the president. I don't want to see the president damaged, but quite frankly, I think Johnny Chung was a pipeline for Chinese money, where China has now grown to have a $70 billion trade surplus with Uncle Sam. They're a very powerful military threat. They're a communist nation. And quite frankly, they're doing great under the Clinton administration. So something doesn't add up, and they've written a lot of checks to the Democrat National Committee.
He said to me, I like your president very much. We would like to see him re-elect. I will give you $300,000 US. You can give it to the president and the Democrat Party.
President Bush, your closing statement, sir.
3 weeks from now, two weeks from tomorrow, America goes to the polls, and you're going to have to decide who you want to lead this country. On foreign affairs, some think it's irrelevant. I believe it's not. We're living in an interconnected world, and if a crisis comes up, I ask, who has the judgment and the experience and, yes, the character to make the right decision? And lastly, the other night on character, Governor Clinton said it's not the character of the president, but the character of the presidency. I couldn't disagree more. Horace Greeley said the only thing that endures is character. And I think it was Justice Black who talked about great nations like great men must keep their word. And so the question is, who will safeguard this nation? Who will safeguard our people and our children? I need your support. I ask for your vote. And may God bless the United States of America.